Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Making the Band. This week, we're going to feature the very important rhythmic part of the band. We've got the drum set here. And we're here with our wonderful friend Ryan Peterson, who's a professional percussionist and arranger and composer and famous musician from right here in Los Angeles. Ryan, welcome to Music Express.
Thank you, John.
We want to learn all about this drum set that you have here. And I've always been fascinated by it because I think it plays such an important role in a garage band or any band. What do you think the most important role of the drum set is to a garage band?
Well, really, you're kind of the brain of the band. So you create the rhythms and drive the tempo and create these grooves that the other musicians have to fill in around. So
the brain of the band. Do the other musicians agree with that?
Well, no, but they're not the drummers, so they wouldn't understand.
Right. You know what I find so great about the drum set is that it's really not just one instrument. It's a musical instrument that's made up of all sorts of instruments.
Yeah, it's a collection of instruments for sure. You have, your bass drum right here, which in an orchestra setting, as you see the big one where the Energizer Bunny, but right in here I play it with my foot, like that.
So this is this one over here. The biggest one we call the bass drum.
Biggest one you call the bass drum, and then one that you can't really see, but it's down here, is called the snare drum.
Okay, and what's that sound like? All right, would you say that's a higher
much
sound?
Higher pitched, yeah, kind of crisp.
Crisp
I guess you could call it. And then you have your tom-toms. Some people call this the rack tom, or you could call it a tom-tom, and some people call this the floor tom because it's on the floor. And then or just another tom-tom.
And the bigger the drum, the lower the sound?
The bigger the drum, usually the lower the tone.
So you have the bass drum, the snare drum, and you have two tom-toms. Sometimes I see drum sets that have all kinds of drums.
Yeah, you can. You can have as many toms as you want.
That gives all. Okay, so you got
different tones and stuff like that.
And you're having to play with your hands, your feet,
your hands, everything. If you want to think of your body in 4 parts. So you've got 1, 2, and then 3, 4.
All right.
And so you're kind of like an octopus. Playing everything.
You got to be really coordinated to be a drummer.
Yes, you do.
Now, how about the cymbals too?
Yeah. So you have your hi-hat right here, which is controlled by your left foot.
It's actually 2 cymbals that go together.
It's 2 cymbals that are coming up and down, going together, and then you have your crash cymbal.
All right. Okay.
And then you have your ride cymbal, which you keep time on if you're not using your hi-hat.
Wow. And so, let's review that once more. This is called the hi-hat.
The hi-hat?
You're playing it with your foot.
With your foot, yeah.
Okay, your left foot. You got your right foot on the bass drum.
On bass drum.
Then you've got your
crash cymbal.
Crash cymbal, which makes a crashing sound.
A crash sound.
That's right. All right. And then over here we get the ride cymbal because you might ride that with a steady beat.
Yeah, ride that with a steady beat. Exactly.
So, have you been playing this since you were a little kid? I mean, what's the secret to being a good drummer?
It's a lot of practice. It's spending a lot of time, a lot of practice.
Just what we wanted to hear. Really.
But it's spending a lot of time, by yourself, really, getting better at what you do, and then also playing in the room with other people and learning how to play with the band. You can play by yourself all day long, but it's not really going to matter until you get in with 2 or 3 other people and try to create something together.
Which is what a garage band is all about.
Exactly.
It must be really important to be able to keep a really steady beat and not go faster, slower.
Oh, most definitely. Because then, if the rest of the people, like I said, you're the brain of the band. So if they're trying to follow you and you're all over the place, it's not going to sound very good.
Really, yeah. So that's why you call it the brain of the band, because you're really the one you're setting the tempo, you're keeping the groove.
Exactly.
Everybody really does have to follow you, whether they like it or
whether
not.
they want to or not.
So if you were just starting off, and we wanted to learn, now we probably don't all have drum sets there in the classroom, but could you teach us how would we start putting this all together?
We'd start with your kick drum, because that's the basis of the groove, right?
So can we all do this? Everybody do this with me. I'll try to do it too. I'm not very coordinated, but I'm going to do my best. So we're going to start with our right foot.
Right foot doing quarter notes.
Quarter notes. So we know there's 4 quarter notes in every measure if it's in 4/4 time, right? So can you get us started and we'll follow?
So if we're here, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So everybody tap your foot. Tap your right foot like this. Go up and down. That's going to keep our quarter notes going, just like this. Everybody got that? Okay, we have one thing going.
We got one thing going. All right. Now take your right hand.
Right hand.
And you're going to do 8th notes on the ride cymbal.
On the ride cymbal. Why don't we put it on our leg like this? So how's it going to sound?
So it's going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3.
So it's twice as fast as what our drum is doing down here. Okay, I think have we got this? Keep it going now, everybody.
Now you're going to take your left hand and you're going to play it on the 2 and the 4 on your snare drum.
Okay,
So,
you get
ready?
it started.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Everybody keep it going. We got 3 things going.
3 things going.
Now you take us away. We'll keep this going. That's awesome. Well, I could see how you could build that up pretty quickly if you really did just practice. I mean, if you were really able to not think about this foot so much.
Exactly.
And not think about this so much.
Yeah.
And not think about this either.
Yeah.
But we were getting pretty good at that, weren't we? So there you are, all drummers. When you get home, you can try that with boxes or pencils or sticks. Or whatever.
Even on a pillow.
Your parents might actually appreciate that part of it, the pillow part. So, so you do a lot of things. I understand you've been on the Glee show on TV. You've been on the Glee Project on television. What's that like to be a professional drummer?
You know, it's a lot of fun. It takes a lot of work to get up to that point, but once you finally do, and you have the kind of the confidence and the talent to go in there and really show what you can do, it's so much fun because you also get to work with other musicians who are right around the same level as you. So everybody is kind of at their best.
And you know, in a garage band setting, it seems you're playing with drumsticks made out of wood, right? And they're pretty loud. So
Pretty
for a
loud.
rock and roll band, it's going to be great.
great.
But what about if you wanted to play softer music? Isn't there a role for a drummer in different styles of music?
There absolutely is. So these are called brushes, and they're metal, I guess wires. You know, but they look like they fan out like a brush, and you can play much softer on your drums.
So you would use that more in what, jazz?
You know,
or
you would
club
say
thing?
jazz, maybe some club or lounge music, or even if, you know, there are some great pop and rock and country artists that still, if they do a ballad, you know, it's all
Right.
brushes.
You were actually just sort of swirling that around.
Yeah,
like
that's called stir in the soup.
stirring the soup.
And
It's a great sound. Gives a great color.
yeah, and you could, if you want to, you don't have to do that. You could just play it normally.
That's really the same technique you were using with the sticks.
Same exact thing I was doing with the sticks. It's just a very different sound.
And then sometimes now you'll see people drumming with electronic drums.
Yeah.
Where they make totally different sounds.
They can, yeah, you can program them to play anything you want.
But the technique is basically
Technique is exactly the same.
exactly the same. And when you see a drum and percussion set, even like in a big orchestra, they might actually play with even different kinds of drumsticks, mallets.
Exactly, and so you have mallets too, which are it's like a drumstick for the handle, but then where you hit the drums is made of felt, and sometimes they're very tightly wound, and sometimes they're very big and fluffy, and they help create even more sounds on your drums.
So more tightly wound is going to be harder. So it's going to be a more percussive.
Yeah,
sound.
punchy, percussive, and if the more fluffy they are, it's going to sound more. Sometimes I describe it as pillowy. You know, 'cause
So what do these ones that you have? They look kind of fluffy to me.
yeah, these are kind of fluffy. They're not super hard. They're kind of soft, but I mean,
Oh.
you hear a lot of time.
Okay. Right. Exactly.
And you can also, if it's a really interesting sound to play a drum kit with these too. You know.
Okay. It gives a little different sound.
Do a
than the
different sound.
drumstick.
It's very soft. There's not as much attack.
Now, sometimes on these cymbals, you play those kind of like stirring the soup too, right? I mean, you
Exactly.
don't necessarily have to.
You can swell into things.
Okay.
You know.
Right.
Or even if you hit it with the stick, see how hard it'll sound.
Right.
And then if you hit it with a mallet, it'll open up slower.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really very musical. If you play it in a musical fashion. I mean, if you're just beating away at it.
It won't be very musical.
Because you're going to play loud, soft, fast, slow, different grooves, different tempos.
Exactly.
You can play in different times. Like, say if it was 3/4 time.
If it was 3/4 time, you could play it like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Okay. What would be like, say, a 6/8 time?
6/8 time?
And back to 4/4 time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2.
Yeah.
So unbelievable. So it really is the brain of the band, like you were talking about. What advice would you give to anybody who want to be there, girls or guys?
Girls or guys, I would say find like-minded people who want to work with you to do the garage band thing, you know. And if you find those people that want to work with you and help make a sound with you and make whether it be new or you're covering old songs, you just want to be with people who also want to be there too. And also practice. Practice together, practice with new people, practice with old friends. The more you do it, the better you're going to get. And every new musical situation you put yourself in, it's only going to help you in the long run.
It seems like it would take a lot of courage to be a drummer, because obviously when you first start it, you're not going to be, you know, that good at it or that able to keep a steady beat or to get all those things going at once. It seems like it would take a lot of courage just to dive in, and even if you're not great at it right off the bat, to stick with it long enough so that you get feeling good about it.
Exactly. But you know what? Just do it. Because the sooner you start, the sooner you're going to get better. It's going to be a little painful at first, but so are the new keyboard player and the new guitar player you are working with. They're probably not going to be very good either. So if you work together to get better, it's going to be great.
You grow your garage band. That's how you make a band. You grow it together like that. Well, I think this has been awesome. Could you just kind of show off a little bit? Show
Sure.
us what this drum set can do, because we at Music Express love watching and listening to wonderful new musicians, and one like yourself who can show us what making the band really means from the drummer's point of view.
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Music Express, making the band, the one and only Ryan Peterson. Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you.